What's up, gamers? Got something really cool for you today. Remember that video series I did last year about working with voice actors? Well, this year, we got the voice actors' opinions, and the game devs' opinions, and a bunch of other hot, fresh opinions. Whether or not you're interested in joining this year's Otome Jam, I do hope that you find the information useful, either as a voice actor or as a game developer looking to add voiceover to your project. Improving coordination between independent online creators benefits us all. I really hope you enjoy.
Welcome to a roundtable discussion on Otome Jam 2023. This event was actually brought together by Cody. Cody, who's in the chat right now, will be going through introductions later, so you'll learn about all of your speakers today. But there's a game jam going on, and I think it's very important to promote. Oh, damn. Yep, that is, I see them coming right now. I think it's a really important conversational point to have. And the fact of the matter is that not a lot of people know about game jams in general, especially on the voiceover department. One of the main ways to find roles or find opportunities, I think people tell them all the time, is like, hey, go to conventions, network, and game jams go right over people's head. I know when I first started doing VA, I knew nothing about a game jam. I was so burnt out from doing projects and them never coming to life. Like, I was just like, okay, it's a bunch of people trying to make things. That doesn't seem like a good recipe. But we have DevTalk in the building with us today. We have Cody, Nye, Ingrid representing for us, and they're literally one of the most trusted source for DevTalk for literally damn, I'm
Visual novels.
Visual novel development.
There we go.
Yes.
I appreciate the assistance. I am tired as well. Okay,
Man, I feel you. I
am tired.
Boy, howdy.
I don't ever sleep, man. Neth sleeps at night. I stay up 24 hours a day.
I sleep at night when night lets me. Otherwise, I'm laying at the ceiling in the pitch black room going, I know the ceiling's there, but I'm staring at you. And then sun comes up and it's like, oh, cool, now you can go to sleep.
Okay, well, damn. We also have my good buddy Lucas from Heretical Funhouse joining us today. He has an amazing YouTube channel on TikTok with, man, what is the current stat that you have? You got to be proud of this, man. There's something that you said that, man, this had no right to be as big as it did. This had no right to grow and get the community.
Accidental into it. Yeah, no right whatsoever. Sorry you had to see that.
I'm in it. What? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Yeah. Good to meet y'all.
All right. Well, let's first, we're doing introductions right now. My name is Berger. I am a TA at Closing Credits. I've been recently promoted to head of events here, which is a pretty cool thing. It's my job really to oversee the VO companionship program, do events like this. I assist with mostly sort of all of our classes, our extracurricular classes. So that's really my gig right here. Neth is he's basically me. he calls himself the Aussie me. But he runs the audio department with him and Tony. Tony is our audio engineer instructor. Fantastic teacher, by the way. He makes learning audio fun. I always try to do Tony justice, but I feel like Neth, only you can truly do him justice.
No, you've done that. He's been in the audio engineering space for a little over a decade now. Specifically focusing on the voice acting industry and voice actors and helping them grow. He's a voice actor himself, so like he's invested in that. Very cinematic minded in the way that he approaches audio, and I've been sort of like unofficially apprenticing to him. And yeah, no, he's absolutely fantastic. We're just a bunch of clowns that that apparently make teaching audio stuff fun.
Yeah. I mean, that's the main thing, right? I think, and then the most scariest part is that everyone trying to get into learning voice acting as a remote talent is like, well, you should learn how to work audio. And that's the thing that scares people off. They're like, oh man, EQing all these things, and they're like, I can't do it, and they end up never giving it a try. But I feel like with the system that you and Tony have, you do make it fun. It's not a burden to learn. You leave being like, okay, I really do get that. So I really appreciate that. And everybody that's here that's done classes with you can attest to you, like, y'all being awesome. So it's great to have you. Lucas, I did a little brief introduction of Heretical, but why don't you tell us a little more about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Lucas. I've been voice acting for about 12 years now because I started when I was in high school. It was a fun time. And it's been amazing to see how much it's changed in 12 years, mostly for the better. Like, it's great. And I'm always glad to see that there's always new people coming into it. So it's good to see everybody. I'm kind of learning things again because I got lost in an IKEA for 4 years, but I came back. College was hard time to do voice acting, but we out here.
Yeah, we out. We're definitely out here. Well, moving on to the DevTalk side of things. Let's first do an introduction to Nye here. Who? That's right, sir. You, sir.
Come on down.
Let's do an introduction for Nye here, who basically runs the DevTalk server. He moderates everything. Why don't you give a little spiel on what you do? And
sure. I am the most cursed thing in existence. I'm a Discord mod. Hi. Thank you, everyone, for laughing. I appreciate that. Really, DevTalk extends kind of beyond Discord, so it's just not a Discord mod thing. But I run a development community that is focused on creating visual novels. Our community is very diverse. We have a large emphasis on helping anyone and everyone create. That includes everyone from any kind of backgrounds, including sexuality, race, ethnicity, et cetera, yeah, that's some of the things that we really care about. I, in particular, run a handful of jams myself, the most popular of which some of you may know is called Spooktober VN Jam, which runs in September of all times. But and it is one of the very few visual novel competitions where there is typically a prize. Yeah, I mean that's it. I think that's all I have to say.
Right. I mean, well, DevTalk has become such a vital resource for actors. It's like literally in this giant database where it's like where to find work. DevTalk is up there, like literally within like the top 10 like suggestions of like this is a place you should go if you're looking to connect with creators, find work, find opportunities, and it's constantly growing. So appreciation on everything you do on your end. Now we have a game developer here, Ingrid, my girl. What's going on? Why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
All right. Hello, I'm Ingrid. I run the studio Forsythia Productions. We make a little queer Victorian romance visual novel called Ostensibly, which recently I handled voice acting for. Other than that, I've also handled a bunch of work for game jams, not necessarily running, but being part of them. So I have a little familiarity with, what voice acting looks like in a game jam. Nice to meet you all.
Yeah. And another cool thing is that we when DevTalk did the first ever like live casting, you was there helping, giving directions. We worked together a little on with some of the developers there. I'm like, hey, maybe you could try this, maybe you could try that.
Do you mean Cody?
No, I mean you was there. Like, we'll have a flashback later.
I think I was probably asleep because it's 5:30 for me.
Okay.
Yeah. We had Amara there. We had Cerise there. You, me. I mean,
we had
really
over 100 people there. It could have been anyone.
I'm pretty sure I'm right. Well, okay, fine.
Maybe I was there in my dreams. Sorry.
There in spirit. Sir.
Yes, in spirit. Yeah.
Well, last but not least, one of the main reasons why we're actually doing this, our boy Cody.
What's up, gamers? My name's Cody, and I run a small YouTube channel called Maho Studio. I've been making internet content on and off for around a decade. I was voice director for Parasite and Love, and I'm currently the voice director for Ingrid's Game of Sense and Soul, as well as the upcoming Moonbriar. You may also recognize me from the live Spooktober casting event, which was about 5 dev teams 80 voice actors in 6 hours. Holy smokes, it was fun. First off, I'd like to shout out the makers of the Otome Jam banner that you see on the event page, them being Azuramia, Rice Love Coffee, and one of the organizers of Otome Jam, Aqua. As many of you already know, sometimes the only payment you can get for your hard work is exposure, so I want to make sure that they are properly exposed. That definitely sounded different when I read it out loud. Anyway, let's get something important out of the way first. What is a game jam? Well, in voice acting, it's kind of the equivalent of hopping in a Discord call and dubbing an RPG or a visual novel with your friends. You're developing your skills, you're having fun, you're meeting other people in your field, etc., etc. Game jams are similar, except you're not reading Phoenix Wright, you're making Phoenix Wright. So it's on a bit of a longer timetable because you need artists, programmers, and so on. As one of the longer jams, 2 whole heckin' months, Otome Jam is a great opportunity for young devs to expand their scope and include something as ambitious and labor-intensive as voice acting. Now, why should you as a voice actor be interested in voice acting for indie visual novels? Well, they are long-form, original narrative content that won't get you blacklisted from the industry. That's why. You get to play, you get to act, and you get yourself involved with others, just like you, looking for what is often that first opportunity to mark your resume with something great. Any of us on the developer side can expand on how jams work, or we'd be happy to hear what experience you all have on the voice acting side with finding jobs. So, who'd like to go first?
Well, damn. Well, damn. Well, my history with game jams is one of the main reasons why I wanted to like have this conversation is because I did not know what game jams were in the very beginning. I think I kind of mentioned that. Like I didn't know anything really about DevTalk, and when I first joined, and this is years ago before like I ever like reached out to Nye, was like, hey, I would like to like collaborate in some way. I think I fell into the trap hole of like, okay, do I just introduce myself here and just wait around? And that's basically has been my entire experience with game jams early in my VO career. But through Spooktober, I've literally seen some of my students doing VA 101 get their first opportunity at something where they can be like, hey, I'm in this is something I could put on a resume. I had nothing before. Now I can show people that it was literally the first time they can call themselves a voice actor. So it's something that I encourage everyone here today is please check it out. We'll be dropping links throughout the event and at the end, of course. So you can go and honestly like take part of something that might be it might be a game changer. I know that for a lot of people that getting that first role is so difficult that it might be a reason why you're like, I don't know if I want to do this no more. I know people went months without getting anything. I personally went 7-8 months before I got like something like a role of anything, and then when I did, it got canceled, and I was like, oh damn. So I think the fact that you're scouting, you're like, okay, well, we're producing we're all trying to make sure these things come out. We're not just like, okay, yeah, here somebody has an idea, like you're dotting your T's, you're like, okay, you're doing quality checks. I think that's very important. So that's sort of my experience with game jams. Sorry I took the room like that, but if anybody else wants to jump in or not, I mean,
well,
that's fine.
Okay,
that's
I'll
cool.
jump in real quick.
You did so well.
We're gonna
How
leave
do
that
you
off the
top
side.
that?
Something that's really cool about game jams, I've spoken with Ing and a couple other amateur devs about this, is they think voice acting would be cool, but 2 of the barriers are 1, audio engineering, and 2, how much work can I have them do for free? And something cool about game jams in particular is I'm only going to spend a month or 2 working on this game, so the script is going to be small, the scope is going to be manageable, and it's something that they would feel comfortable approaching a voice actor with, because, hey, look, I need these 10 voice clips for general lines, and I need to voice, like, the ending. And I think breaking that stigma is going to be important in improving collaboration. Just like, hey, you can ask for them to do, 30, 40 lines because they just need something cool on their resume so they can show off their talent.
Right, and it's really good practice as well for working in teams, and it's just like, I forgot what I was gonna say. Anyway, and basically with any sort of like, sorry, forgot my train of thought. Go for it.
It's fine. I was gonna say, like, you say one of the big like barriers is like, money, right? Yeah, everybody wants to get paid, but so many actors in the very beginning, they have no real structure of, okay, what is a budget? What am I charging too much? I was personally one of those people was like, I will work for food. Like I didn't care. As long as you had a project and it looked cool, I was all in it. Honestly, Lucas can attest it to this, is that Heretical Funhouse, before he ever started paying me, like I worked on his, I was like, hey, this looks fun. It's getting views. I want to be part of it. And it was something I was like really happy at the time, because I think it's around when things were picking up. I was like, okay, cool. But then it turned into something that did pay down the line. And I never looked at it from, all right, man, you're going to have to pay me a lot of cheddar by the time this is over. Like you owe me a lot.
With your rates and everything, it was just like, oh, he's willing to give me, some McDonald's, I'll do it. But now, I treat you a little better than that. Now it's Burger King.
Actually, on the topic of budget with game jams, it's just logistically a lot easier to handle voice acting, because everyone basically is doing it for free, unless the game itself is going to become a commercial game. So if you need an audio engineer, if you need a voice director, a lot of people will have an easier time finding those for a game jam than not. So voice actors can kind of, join in as well.
Sorry, I accidentally muted myself for a second.
My bad.
Welcome back.
Let me make y'all go. I got you, dude. You'll never have to experience that again.
The trauma of not being able to mute myself. The trauma of not being able to speak and be heard. Yeah. Actually, don't have anything to add. I was going to add something. I was like, it's completely gone now. Though I did want to add that jams, I think, aside from the fact that they're a little bit easier to get into because there's low stakes. You pop into it. There's a couple of guys farting around making a cute little visual novel or a cool visual novel, whatever, action, horror, all kinds of stuff that's out there to work with. But aside from the fact that they're easy to get into, they're also easy to meet other people. And as Ing was saying, something to keep in mind with that too is that developers, they're here. They talk to each other. They know other people. They can recommend other people. Cody got the current job that he was in prior to this because he met someone else in DevTalk, and they spoke to somebody else and made the recommendations. And boom, suddenly he's doing this with Casting Call Club and closing credits. But so it's a great networking opportunity to do the jams. So even if you're not just looking for experience and you're looking for just a way to get into things, it's a good way to start. I don't know if you guys know about NaNoRenO, but it's a game jam that runs earlier on in the year. I see some nodding heads. Yeah. There's a lot of people who come into visual novels because they want to do other things. Sometimes they want to do things in anime, and sometimes they do things in anime. In fact, the person who runs NaNoRenO every single year does quite a bit of things in anime. So if you guys want to do something like that, maybe it's not a bad idea to find connections with people in visual novels. This is the kind of thing that gets people going to where they're going to end up, even if it's not ultimately visual novels. Now, I want to live in visual novels for the rest of my life. That's where I'm going. So, but not everyone like that. So if you're looking at visual novels, what are visual novels? Are those weird dating sim things? Well, yes and no, but a lot of the people who are involved in it are also involved in a lot more. And there's a ton of opportunities for voice actors in visual novels because they're very character driven. There's tons of just straight up dialogue. And, in some RPGs, you might get 1,200 lines of dialogue. Guess what? Every single line in a visual novel is a line in a visual novel. So it's, can be up to 1 million words for some of the most epic tales and, as low as 20,000, 30,000 words in others. So there's just a lot of really decent opportunities. And if I had to say and give some advice to anyone here about the various jams that go on. So we run jams year round. I don't personally run all of them, but DevTalk, we're the host of a lot of them. We help people get their jam ideas out there, to help other people about it. And for a select few, we directly support them, like Otome Jam. So maybe Otome's, let's say, this is the woman-focused media that it is. Maybe that's not your bag. Maybe you don't want to work in that. We've got other jams that run all over the year. There's the one that I mentioned earlier, Spooktober. It's horror themed. In fact, it's so easy to get into. If it's just on the holiday, you can get into it for your project. So there's a lot of people, a lot of diverse different types of things to work in. So if you're not really looking to get into the dating sim sort of game, or you really don't want to get into the like adventure genre, or there's a specific genre you really want to get into, there's probably a jam that's related to it. And if not, then, you know, hey, talk to me. Maybe I can help you promote one. So yeah, and I think that it's something that you should at least give a shot, even if it's not like a long-term strategy for your portfolio or really your career, I guess, in general. It's definitely worth a shot.
Right. And actually, with indie devs in particular, I'd say most of us are very attached to our characters. We care a lot about the stories that we're making. So oftentimes the roles that you can find in indie games, especially game jams with such limited casts, usually maybe like 2 to like 5 people in a cast, you're gonna find there might be more meat on those roles for you. And yeah, just in general, like, we care a lot about our characters. I think Cody can attest to working with me on Of Sense and Soul, just how into it I get.
Phenomenally well researched.
Why did you laugh evilly? Like what?
Because he knows. He knows. But yeah, like, it's also just a lot more fun to work with people that way, I find.
Right.
Where when you, I mean, I can't speak from a voice actor perspective, but I imagine that when you find people who are really passionate about the character and are willing to sort of walk you through what a role entails, it's easier to get into the role and actually perform, I suppose.
I
No
can
such thing as too much information for a character.
Right. I can speak a little more from the voiceover side of things, and I can assure you that actors, they just want to act. They just want an excuse to be in something. We take so many like random jobs that have nothing to do with our interest that the moment you say anything character related, it's like, okay, I have a chance to connect or say something. I get something with artwork. People will jump at that. And I think a lot of people here today from the voice acting side of things are like, okay, that sounds great. I want to be in that. How do I do that and not like make a fool of myself? How do I make the right impression? Because we talked a little about this before. The like majority of the voice actors that show up in DevTalk is more of a here's my business card, and I hope to see from you, and then they disappear. Can we talk a little more about the proper way to find work? So by the end of this, everyone has a direction of like, this is what I'm doing by the end of it.
I'd like to jump
in
on.
Difficult.
Yeah, it is difficult. Yeah, because with voice acting, as you all can attest, you know, you've been on it for 5, 10, 12 years. It's a lot of hustle. It's a lot of finding those jobs. And you don't know which community is going to pan out, which one's going to land you that thing that moves you forward. So I think there's a bit of a bad mindset there where you join whatever Discord server you can, like, and as you said, throw the business card down. Hey, here's who I am. Here's my demo reel. Contact me when you're ready if you want to hire me. Blah blah blah, and then poof. We found out that doesn't quite work in an indie sense because you know, when people drop their demo reels, you have them, but then someone's got to listen to them. And the issue is when you have indie devs who want to introduce voice acting for the first time, they don't even know what they're listening for in a demo reel. Like, how loud can this person get? What is room tone? What is their noise floor? So what I did, even before any of this happened, it was for Winter Jam at 2021, I believe. We had a voice roster set up by Maxi Molina, who's another voice director, and it had 160 demo reels. And I said, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to listen to every single one. And not only am I going to listen to every single one, I am going to live stream it on DevTalk. And it took 3 days and 8 hours. It was 160 reels. We went over every single one. And the jury's out on if anyone got hired. I didn't get like a thank you card or nothing. So I don't even know if that got work.
Wow.
Yeah, I literally was pointing out to those devs, you know, what they should be looking for and who they should hire, and I don't even know if that bore results.
The easiest way to tell to see who got hired is to see how many voice acted submissions are in Winter Jam 2021. You can go look at the page.
Ooh.
It's very small.
Oh no! But see, that's the thing. You know, that's a whole lot of legwork for an indie dev to do, because it's learning an entire new skill. Casting, and that's just step one, is the casting, and then directing if you do that, and then engineering, because you kind of have to do that. So what's really worked was the live Spooktober Jam casting call, because every developer at that point went, okay, we know our game is getting done, we know we have time to put voice acting in it, and we're ready to cast, so here's our casting call. And then we just threw everybody together. Like, we've got professionals handling all the weird stuff you don't know about. We're just going to connect you up and make sure that things happen. And that seemed like it's a lot more work to do that hands-on approach, but that's really what's gotten the best results by far.
Yeah. I don't recall exactly how many voice acted submissions that we had in Spooktober last year. I think it was in like the 60s, 70s, which is massively different from previous years. We're talking like maybe in previous years we had 5, 10, but now suddenly we have. I sent the numbers over to John at some point at closing credits, but I know he has it. I don't have it at the moment.
He sent it to me. I got a dig for it. He was like,
okay,
because he was like, listen to this, and I was like, absolutely not, John.
Anyway, it was a huge increase. That event made a huge difference.
Right.
I was also there for it, and oh my god, it was a lot. I wanted to say never again, but it worked. So it's like, we got to figure out how to make it easier.
Yeah, we got to make that more efficient. So here's what happened, right? We had 2 casting rooms and 5 developers. And the developers had their casting calls ready. And then it was me in one room, and then Berger working alongside Amara, Cerise, whoever was helping him organize things in that room. And so it took 2 rooms, 6 hours to cast 5 games. So it was a lot of time. It was a lot of stress, especially since no one had really done it before. But I will say, every voice actor we ran into, because some of them stayed the whole 6 hours, they were professional, they were polite. It doesn't matter what the dev was doing, because like, people were so ready to put something on their resume that the lack of experience on the dev side didn't bother them. And that's kind of on us developers to improve that education and improve that communication, because like, voice acting is inherently social, whereas game dev is, I'm going to draw anime for 10 years. Like, oh shit, now I have to put it in a game and talk with other people and work payroll? What?
That actually goes well with the point I wanted to make, was because when indie game devs set out to make a game, it's not necessarily, I want to make a game, here's all the technical considerations. Especially for visual novels, it's a bit I would say it's more akin to like a digital picture book, where you consider the story, the art, the music, but you don't necessarily consider the technical aspects or even audio at times. So it can be difficult to get over that barrier of, okay, I need art, I need story, I need audio, but like, voicing isn't necessarily the first thing people think of when it comes to making a visual novel. It's often an add-on that comes on later. With game jams, a lot of people actually do consider voice acting up front. And actually, for O2A2 this past April, I created a small game with one of my voice actors from Of Sense and Soul, and having them sort of on board, like up front, basically made it a lot easier to consider, okay, what am I going to write? What kind of audio is going to get delivered? How is the audio going to be handled? Because I didn't have an audio engineer for this project, but I was able to negotiate with the voice actor up front. His name is Max Hertzfeld. He's amazing. I was able to negotiate with them, like, what sort of editing can take place, what line splitting, what kind of levels need to be adjusted. And I'm not very audio oriented. Literally, this year is like my first time handling voice acting in any capacity, or even like considering it for my main game. But just those conversations, having them up front is extremely handy. And if you're able to kind of like either open up that conversation with the dev you're working with, or have the dev come to you and say, hey, what's possible on your end of things, that's going to set up much better expectations for your game jam experience if you go for that.
Right. So here's my ultimate goal. Right. My ultimate goal is to create a pipeline. Right. You need audio engineers. Neth, between me and Neth, we kind of have that department. We have access to hundreds of audio engineers who are looking like, hey, if I can work on a real project and I can just get something under my belt, I would love to do that. Lucas has his own roster of actors of like, hey, if you're looking for someone that you're trying to put in these projects, what can I do to assist you? What's more appealing to you? Because the thing is that unless you're telling me this, I would never know. Like, you're making all these things. So it's this, you guys are doing all this great things. You're doing all these amazing things. I would love to know if we can create some type of system where if somebody has a roster, they can like submit it to something where it's like, okay, you know what, this person here has access to all these actors here. So you know what, if I need to get something voiceover related, I can go to this person. Okay, this person here has all these audio engineers under his belt. Maybe I can go to him so I can get something audio engineer related, without the fear of pay. And yeah, I mean, people do like to be compensated for their work, but to start a conversation, I think that's the main thing. That is my ultimate goal, where I can be like,
May
sure.
I confess something?
Oh boy.
I don't think a lot of VIA devs, including myself, fully understand what audio engineering is. I have an audio engineer. I have no idea what he does. I just know it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
we're spooky wizards. It's fine.
And Mist
Okay,
is in
got
here
it.
saying me neither. What's that? How dare
I'm an
you?
audio engineer.
I know that name.
Well, the thing is that like I imagine that it's not just okay. Here are some voice lines. Here you go. There's leveling that needs to be properly done. I mean, ultimately, the goal would be it's like, hey, we would like for everyone to sound like they are in the same space because everyone have different setups. Some people has some professional booths. Some people record in a closet with no padding whatsoever, but they're trying to build themselves up. And I love the fact that you're willing to give everyone an opportunity where it's like, hey, we can work with this, but it's not just the here you go. All right, now put me in it. So when I'm really trying to figure out what is it from the audio engineering department that you need? Is it leveling? Is it more like, hey, we need you to put this in this project? Because I don't know.
Devs are very often told they need one, but not the why behind it. We had Tim did a great presentation during Visual Novel Conference. I think it was last year or this year, but anyhow, he did a great one about leveling audio, and that's one of the things that I think because let me back up a second. So I've mentioned it a couple times already, but I'm also a judge for Spooktober Visual Novel Jam. And one of the things that I hear and can't hear very often in visual novels is the audio. 9 times out of 10, if I turn on a visual novel, it deafens me. If it does, guess what? It's going right in the bin. I'm not judging the rest of it. If my ears bleed by the time I hit start on your start menu, it's done. Nah.
Okay. Oh my god.
Leveling is definitely something a lot of them need to understand, right. For sure.
Tim did one this last year, and then he did another one a couple years ago called Your Game is Too Loud, and he went into a little more technical detail there. And he talked a lot about loofs, and I don't know loofs from Monkey D. Luffy, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Because go ahead, please.
It's scary. It's the modern format or method of measuring loudness, whereas the old school way of measuring like how things are loud, the levels or the volume of things, it used to be called RMS. It's basically a mathematical formula for the computers to basically estimate how loud things are. RMS is pure maths. LUFS takes into account how loud things seem to our ears. That's really the only difference. LUFS, loudness wars, exactly. So the LUFS is basically a standard that came in during the loudness wars, which I encourage you to look that up. It's fascinating and frustrating, and especially if you're in the audio field. But yeah, the LUFS is literally just a way of, especially for broadcast media, to set a standard loudness level or volume level, essentially. So you look at Spotify or SoundCloud or YouTube, they have a threshold for how loud things can be. If your stuff comes in too loud, it gets compressed to that. Sometimes if it's too quiet, they'll do upwards compression and they'll make it louder to meet their threshold, which can be just as weird. But ultimately, don't be too scared of LUFFs or LUFs. Yeah, it's just a fancy way of saying it's this loud to your ears.
Audio has been such an issue for every project I've ever worked on that has never seen the light of day. It has always been something with, oh man, our engineer went to college and now I don't know what to do. So the project's on hold until he comes back, and then it's never seen again. And I would love it because there's a bunch of like audio engineer students here who probably took Tony's class and they're like, okay, they got an understanding, and it might not be at the highest degree, but they have an understanding probably more than the average developer. If you're like, I don't know what they're doing, I just know they're doing something. And I would love it for them to be able to be like, okay, you know what? I just heard this great conversation. I would love to work with you. I would love to offer my service if I can. But there doesn't seem to be really that, okay, well, what is it that you need? Like as an artist, I know what artists do. I know what a game tester does. I know all these things and like what and how they contribute to the final project. When I worked on project working audio, it was my job to line up the audio. But I think more of that's like in programming, I guess, where it's like I'm not working on everything in like Adobe Audition and I'm just lining things up and I'm like, here you go. So it's a little more challenging, I would say. Lucas, you can go if you had something you wanted to add.
Oh no, it was just like I've had a lot of experiences with projects that didn't have sound engineers, and I'm just glad to hear that there's so many now, because I remember there was this one we did ages ago for a visual novel when I was in college, and they gave us all an early copy, and here I am with studio headphones, so I'm just like, oh, this is gonna be so much fun. Couldn't hear for like the rest of the day because it was just the intro music, just just oh my god, no, sound engineers are wizards. They're best thing you can have on a project, honestly.
You know, it just struck me what we could probably use. I don't know if anyone wants to jump on this, but what we could use is a before and after. Someone take a visual novel, the assets from it, and then just slap it in there by default. Whatever you get your sounds from, wherever you get your music from, just slap it all in there by default, and then have an audio professional go in behind it and then make another one. Give us a before and after. This is what your visual novel could sound like. And this is what it sounds like now.
I will get back to you on that.
Yes!
Good.
Yes!
See, this is why DevTalk works. We've got people who jump into it.
Because currently, with Ostensibly, the music isn't leveled. Like all the voices are, because we have audio engineer. But the music was created before the end by two different composers. So we do have an imbalance in the levels of the audio. Which currently we've kind of circumvented by doing the hacky thing of changing the default audio level. So like music might be at like 40% and then everything else is at like 80. If like that kind of thing where it's like, yeah, just keep it there. Don't move it. But yeah, like I guarantee like there is going to be such a difference because
There's going to be a difference.
Yeah,
it's just going to sound different.
Another important thing too is like, because this happens in music where usually instruments are panned either to the left or right channel, but the voice is coming equally out of each. And the voice usually takes up like the mid-range, I believe. So there's something you have to do with the instruments where they are louder on the edges and quieter in the middle, which allows the voice to stand out. But again, I'm not an audio engineer. I'm just an idiot who watches too much YouTube.
Stop that. Stop. I will have no Cody slander.
but
not even from Cody.
But yeah, like audio engineering is the art of making everything feel like it's occurring in the same place at the same time. So you have, two voice actors recording from home. Now you have to make them sound like they're talking to each other in a wooden house with a lot of echo in 1800s England, kind of like a color correction in film, because they're filming a scene all day, but the sun keeps moving, and that's going to change how the scene looks. So someone has to go in and identify those patterns and adjust it.
Right.
Yeah.
Something that this is something I did very early in my VO career, and it took a lot of time. And I imagine that people here would be willing to do it. But people are if you would make a game and you're like, yeah, we don't have voice acting in now, but we would consider adding it later. And somebody was like, hey, I played your game, I recorded it in OBS, and that Dory, what's up? Oh man, why he leave? Dory, bring him back. Like, my bad, we was in the middle of something. What something that I would do is I would record gameplay of like indie games or things like that, and I would just give it to somebody. I'm like, hey, let's add voice acting in ourselves. People do it all the time. It's called fan dubbing, right? Or they do. How many Danganronpa like fan dubs are there out there in the world, where it's just a bunch of different actors trying? If I can do that with like indie games and be like, okay, this is what your project would sound with acting, and I've already mixed it, and obviously it's not official yet, you can't just use this, but would that be something that people can just do? Because then I would imagine you'll have a bunch of people reaching out to directors who don't have voice acting in video games and being like, hey, I love your project, I would really, would you ever consider a voice acting aspect? What are the things that for you, Ingrid, what are the things that are like intimidating for you, where you're like, oh man, that might be a little too much? Because if you say right now, hey, I have a role, I guarantee you, if you drop your Discord or message, you would be flooded with people.
I'm unfortunately taken care of in that department right now. But I would say something that's intimidating is it's another sort of risk factor for a lot of devs. Like for me especially, like I started off with OSAS casting 12 characters, and that's a lot of logistics to consider, especially because that was a paying project. Like that was a little more. But it is also like, for me, because I was handling partial voice acting with Of Sense and Soul for the demo, thankfully it was only the demo for that batch. It was also like, oh, but what do I want recorded? It's not as straightforward sometimes as let's record all the voice lines.
I imagine.
Sometimes it's what are the most important scenes? Is it final enough to actually give to voice actors to voice? Like, am I actually solid on this? For us, the demo was made already. Like, it was already scripted. It had already been released. And then we added partial voice acting to it. But if you're starting off with a project that's not necessarily finished in terms of story yet, or art, or whatever your assets are that need completing, that's a lot more daunting, because once you get voice actors on board, there's an extra sense of responsibility as far as, oh, I have to provide these extra things for these voice actors. I want to make sure that they're taken care of, as well as everything else in development. Thankfully, it was pretty smooth for us, but that's one of the things that was challenging. And another is casting and actually handling the recording, because with casting, obviously it can be quite a mixed bag as far as where you do it, how you do it, what response you get. For us, we put up a Google form and a casting sheet on Twitter and received submissions that way. We also went through closing credits to handle some of the latter half of casting. And it was also a challenge for us to find PGM or POC voice actors for certain roles. And it was really like, how do we reach them? Because there are a lot of indie devs also who want to have their characters represented by voice actors who match their ethnicities or, in identity. So there is that sort of fear factor of, oh, am I going to be able to find someone who is perfect for this role, who's going to actually have the experience that is needed to back the story?
Right.
So authenticity is just like, it's like, I feel very privileged to be able to have my cast look like the voice actors look like the cast, or vice versa. But that's sort of one of the things that I was really concerned about during casting, because it was like there are only like 2 auditions for this one character. What am I going to do about that? So I think that's a call for all of you PGM voice actors out there. Please keep an eye out for those projects, because we are looking.
So something I'd like to bring up real quick to dovetail off what Ing said. You'll notice how many times she said the word challenge. So adding voice acting is ambitious, it's labor intensive, and Berger, I think something you hinted at there was, if someone wants to go into OBS and record a playthrough and dub that way, that changes a lot of the dynamics: access, consent, responsibility, reputation. So you think about, like, what was it, 15 years ago, the Hi, I'm Daisy comic dubs, the Persona comics. Those, yeah, right. They're so good. But what likely happened there is a group of voice actors go to Hi, I'm Daisy and say, hey, we think your comic's cool. Can we dub it? And then Hi, I'm Daisy goes, well, what do I have to do? And they say, absolutely nothing. And then Hi, I'm Daisy says, well, what happens to my reputation if you screw up? And they say nothing because we're not officially related to you. And then Hi, I'm Daisy says, cool, you got my blessing, go do it. Because if it turns out great, then it's a win-win and rising tide lifts all boats. But if it ends up being cringe, well, then no one's going to watch it, and you didn't have any official say over it, so go do your thing, have fun. So
mitigated risk.
Yes, mitigated risk. And also, like, if someone's just making a recording kind of fan dub, then they don't need access to the game files. They don't need to make their own special mod of the game. So I think if you approach a developer, because, again, developers don't have a lot of knowledge of the voice acting industry, and you're up front and you have all the information prepared, and you say, hey, I like your game. I'd like to do a fan dub with my friends. We're just gonna record the game and put it up on YouTube. You don't have to do anything. If it's cool, if it turns out great, we'll let you know. If it doesn't turn out so great, then obviously it's gonna do whatever. But we'd like to practice. We love what you're doing, and we want to do it justice. Can we please have your permission? I think that is something that is feasible. It
is.
Yeah.
Literally.
Go ahead. Oh yeah, no, you good.
No, that's fine.
I was just gonna say, we've been doing the same thing, Berger and I. Just like, if you just reach out to them and just tell them straight up, we like what you're doing, we just want to put voices over it. A few people will be a little nervous. Yeah, exactly. Same questions. What happens to me if it's bad? But usually people will go with it, and it's also great for making connections too. You just reach out and talk to people.
I was gonna say, like, right now, I got this webtoon game on lock. Like, so many people are out there like, oh, I want to do a fandom. I'm like, no, bump all that. Like, let's do it officially. Reach out to these creators of these webtoons and ask them, like, hello, my name. Now, it all depends about how you approach them, obviously. When I approach them, I'm like, hello, I'm a professional voice actor. I've been doing this for this amount of years. I love your comic, first things first. I love the characters. I have a roster I would love to dub your project with. And I've seen the people, like, now I have so many things, I'm like, damn, I can't do it all. But now at least you have something where you can say, all right, great, this isn't a fan dub, which is like the kiss of death in the voice acting world. It's like, what? You putting fan dubs on your resume? That's what you're promoting? But damn it, like so many people are trying to get their name out there in some way. I am very much under the mindset, if you can't get casted in something, you have to make your own opportunity. That's the only reason why I learned audio engineering, was so I can make my own opportunities. Well, damn it, I guess I'll have to make my own audio drama, something, so I can get some type of a chance to show that, hey, I do this, professionally, or at least I do this for real. So if that's an avenue that people can take, I think people would do it. I was the one telling my friends to do that. But if you're like, yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a lot of devs who would be opposed to that. People just need permission, because I think a lot of people are scared of what to do. They don't want to offend nobody. They don't want to be like, oh, what made you think you can touch my thing? Don't ever. Now I'm telling all the indie devs never to speak to you. I think that's a real fear that a lot of voice actors have.
That's not entirely unfounded. So I wouldn't say, don't worry about because sometimes you can get blacklisted if you behave certain ways or if you infringe on certain things.
Right.
I do want to caution anyone that if it is a paid product, probably don't fan dub it if it's a VN, because the VN, it can be almost entirely experienced through video format very easily. So it's very easy to basically just steal someone's entire experience that they've created and are putting out for money, and then in a YouTube format, and then voice over it, and then suddenly there's no reason for anyone to buy it because it's free on YouTube. So I would exercise some caution there. Free projects are almost always fair game. Just go talk to the dev before you do it. People love seeing their stuff being recorded or voiced over by things. Our community goes absolutely bonkers when someone like oh my god, I suddenly forgot his name. I'm such a boomer.
Manly Badass Hero?
No, the other one. Super handsome.
Markiplier?
That's the one. Markiplier. Thank you. Yeah, you knew exactly who I was talking about.
I was like, whose name is super handsome on YouTube? What?
No,
what?
Markiplier actually played one of our submissions from Spooktober last year, and that was pretty wild. So, we love it when people play our stuff and put it up on YouTube, as long as it's the free stuff, because that's there's no risk to us, when that happens. So,
this is a bit of a tangent. But before we head to whenever the Q&A starts, is there an expectation for what VAs receive from devs in terms of voicing? Because I have my way of giving people scripts and negotiating information, but I'd like to hear from your guys' end.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You go. I started last one. You go first.
Dude, it's fine. I'm always gonna be here. Like you're guessing on this panel.
You're
like
too friendly. You're too friendly.
It's fine, man. Here, I
know for me, it's definitely changed over the years, and I like it a lot more now because there's no such thing as too much information on a character. Because back when I first started voice acting, I usually it was like the voice type, and it would be like young or old, and then it would be like the gender, male, and then it would be age 20, and then that's it. And then if you ask them questions, it'd be like, well, make something up. It's like, what do you want from me? But nowadays, I recently got into a project, and the dude is, right before we started this DevTalk, this whole call here, he sent me, I haven't even bothered looking at it yet, 25 pages of like everything. And I'm like, that might be a bit too much. But at the same time, it's like, the more you have to work with, it's like, I don't have to read 25 pages, but a good chunk of information is going to help me go a long way. So just whatever you need, voice type, age, gender, references are great. Like, hey, I like how they sounded in video, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you can get something like that. It's just whatever key information
how about like
help me.
During recording though? Like, how do you like to receive scripts?
Like live recording?
Depends, because for us, we do live directed recording most of the time. For fully voiced scenes, but there's a variety of ways I've seen like receiving scripts to review or to refer to be handled.
I know it really kind of depends on the person, but I know me personally, whenever I'm working with like Burger, Burger, are you talking? I can't hear you.
No, I'm saying that like literally, like when it comes to scripts in general, like as long as I have my script, then I don't have a preferred, like, hey, if it's not through email, I'm not going to pay attention. I mean, everybody's different, honestly. Everybody, because not everyone has Discord, right? I think when you mandate one thing, it kind of turns people off a little, where it's like, all right, well, we do scripts, but we do it in a live format. So you have to be at this meeting every 2 weeks. And it's like, oh man, I don't really want to do that. Can't you just send me my lines like through my email or in a message, and I'll just send them to you, and that's the end of that? That's what I'm looking for. I'm trying to make the process as simple, as easy as possible.
Mm-hmm. So like straightforward, like these are my lines, I'm gonna record them, like done.
Yeah.
Like,
then if there's like, hey, I would like to do a live session with you, then that's fine. I don't think there's a problem with that. In fact, I think more actors need to get familiar with live directing. That's something that's going to happen down the line. But if you're unsure of what your character should sound like, then I'm very unsure because I'm going off of what your vision is. So if I'm like, hey, how does this sound? And you're like, I don't know. What do you think? It's like, I don't know. It's your project.
What do you want?
I was asking mainly because there's a tool I'm starting to shill to. I put it out yesterday, but there's a tool. It's a script template in spreadsheets actually that I'm starting to put out to DevTalk and like VN devs in general, which Cody and I have found really useful for recording for Of Sense and Soul, because we do live directed sessions for those. But in using a spreadsheet, we are able to mark off lines, refer to lines really easily, add context notes and such. The link is there. And yeah, it's essentially like, this is the way I've figured out handling script for my VAs, and I'd be curious in the future if any of you use this template, if that makes things smoother on the kind of remote recording end, because that's sort of like that's what I'm concerned with. Like, I'm not a VA, I don't know whether it works.
May I help show
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So this is not just like the script, okay? This is an Excel spreadsheet, and each line a collection of spreadsheets. Yes. Each line is in its own cell. Each character has their own highlighted color in a cell next to it. So every actor in the scene can read from the one script. There are context notes off to the side and an extra spot for the actor themselves to take notes. And the context one is super important because, like, there'll be a line like, "Oh, there are worse places." And "there are worse places" is a line that can carry a lot of implication or none at all. But for the sake of this example, "there are worse places," you put the little context in, he's thinking of his estranged family in the countryside. This will be important later. So then that lets the actor know, oh shoot, I have to make sure that this carries some air of mystery to it so that we can start foreshadowing things later. So that it works out really well for that. There's also ways to strike out lines that are done, so it's easier for the actors to skip over them. Also, things can be highlighted for a requested retake, which also helps for this kind of recording, especially when, like, if it's just 1 or 2 retakes and it doesn't need to be live direct. It's just, hey, I'll just pay you $10 to get these lines done real quick on your own time. Oh, okay, cool. So it's worked very effectively as a one-stop shop on Of Sense and Soul for both Max and Sean, our voice actors, to get their work done.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I've included a little screenshot of how it's used in our actual script. You can see that on the right column there, it's all, checked off as done, which is why it's all striked out. But yeah, like it just in general is like, if you are sitting at your station with the script on screen and you're kind of on call with someone else, you can just say, "Oh, I go to row 29," and that makes it pretty simple. So yes, if any of you use this, let me know because I'm curious.
Yeah, so this is actually how a lot of ADR scripts are actually put together.
Okay, good.
So I can guarantee you, this is probably the most professional script that any voice actor has probably seen in a long. They're like, "This is what." I
just see used people to nodding in the camera.
Yeah, because people aren't used to getting this. People are like, "All right, I'm gonna send you these lines in Discord, and that's it, brother." I think
do people really just send them?
Yeah, like you have to understand of how bottom tier voice actors start at. Like, we don't get nothing whatsoever. All right, so we're talking about context and information. Like, something Lucas does is like his script has the other characters, so when I'm reading, I can see what the other character says. So it's like, all right, it gives me some context versus of here's just your lines.
Notice what Berger said there. Notice how he said that he normally only gets his lines, and that happens all the way up and down the industry. So, like, yes. The new Super Mario Brothers movie, right? Charlie Day goes on Kimmel, and he says,
I heard that.
Yeah, I only get my lines, and I have to say Mario 5,000 times, and then the editor is going to pick the one that works well with what just happened.
Oh, no.
So, yeah.
Awful.
Like, we are doing a lot of good for customer service on the indie level, and Hollywood they're in a different boat business-wise, so they have to be way more controlling.
I will point out one thing, and it's no fault on any of y'all. There is a simple part that says this line will be highlighted in light teal. I am colorblind, so I don't know what light teal is, honestly. So I think of this is a very problem towards me. But if I think
it's important. Thank you for telling me.
Well, I appreciate that because no one has ever looked at me being colorblind as important. They're just like, "Damn, man, that sucks."
It's important.
You need to hang out with better people, Berger.
Yeah, honestly,
we said earlier, authenticity and representation is important, and being colorblind of any kind of variety of it is a form of disability. And it needs to be known about and supported as well. It needs to be accommodated for.
I appreciate that.
using coloured fonts or using like highlighted things like that can be good, but also providing an option, whether you do it in like grayscale or specifically like using symbols or something, can also help as well to accommodate those that can't see colors or can't differentiate colors.
I appreciate. Anybody else in the chat suffer from proton color blindness? Anybody else here? No. All right. Well,
for now, it's italicized as well, so hopefully that is a good enough distinction for now.
I appreciate
but
that.
yeah, I'll look into using like an underline or something like that.
Well, I was going to say any final thoughts, because we have to go to Q&A, because I know some of us have a heart out by sort of funny. I guess it was sort of funny I said that. But I know some of us we have classes that start at certain times. So do we have any final thoughts before we let anybody ask their questions? Because I know a lot of people are like, dude, I know exactly what I want to ask. How do I get here? Rotate around the room. Neth, do you have any final thoughts or comments that you're like, hey?
I did have something. It's escaped my brain. Or come back to me.
Sure. Lucas, what about you, brother?
I was just looking at the format that was just given, and I'm like, oh my god, I wish we had this 10 years ago. Back in the age where Skype was the main thing, and they give you like 3 lines and like good luck.
Dude, I still do I do some of my reads on Skype. I'm like, damn, dude, you don't use anything else. It's like it has to be Skype. I'm like, oh.
No, but I don't have anything else.
I know, still alive.
Okay, Nye, what about you? Do you have any final thoughts, comments?
Yeah, I have one quick thing. Sure. For anyone who is joining DevTalk, if you come into the community, yeah, I know it's my last DevTalk spiel. I've got to do it. If you come into the community and you find yourself having a hard time getting the role that you're looking for, or finding a team that you're looking for, don't give up. DevTalk is an engine. It's something that I've spent nearly a decade on working to, and it is not only a community, but it is a mechanism. It is a device that creates opportunities. It's the whole point of it. I made it originally when there was no other community but the Renby community, and I was a Unity developer, so it was a little bit odd for me to be there. But over time, it has created opportunity after opportunity for everyone, and voice actors are probably our latest group that we're focusing on. So if you don't quite get it down, feel free to hit us on our suggestions channel. Go to my personal channel that's in there. Harass me, that's fine. I'm welcome it. But yeah,
not harass.
Oh, please, some of you do.
Say I've been nothing but respectful to you. I don't understand.
Oh no, not you, brother.
I don't understand what this hostility is about. Ingrid, do you have any final thoughts or comments that you would want to drop?
Indie devs are just as scared as the rest of us. So don't be afraid to, make a little push, because we are just as scared as you.
Well, based off of that, I know you do like a month a meetup where should there be some type of event where voice actors and just indie devs like come together? If we could find someone that's willing to moderate it or give their time on both sides, where it's like, all right, you guys, let's meet, let's network properly. If everyone's so scared, because usually you just need someone to ask the question for you to be like, yeah, I was gonna ask that as well. So many people are like, hey, do you have any questions? And they're like, we really do.
We would have to find a way to establish boundaries in that regard, because if you're putting indie devs with voice actors, we don't want it to be like, oh man, this voice actor sounds cool. Hey, you want to voice in my thing? And then they immediately get snatched up, by someone, because I mean, indie devs, they don't know anything. They don't know what they don't know. So I think the casting call for Spooktober was good. But also, if we're going to put voice actors and indie devs in the same room together, it needs to be with the understanding that there may not be an active jam at the moment. There should be a fun activity for them to do that doesn't necessarily involve voicing something right away, because I'd love to get them involved in the community, but I don't want it to be a position where either side is taking advantage of the other because they are able to exploit newer members who don't have the business sense yet.
Right. There's definitely an idea that we can come back around towards. But
definitely a consideration too there is that we have to have a reason for the indie devs to appear. The jams work great for that, because this is a thing for you to do, devs. If they're just meeting folks, like, they can meet folks any time of the day, anywhere. That's kind of we have to give a sufficient motivation for everyone involved, and getting indie devs to pop up to meet voice actors. I mean, they could go on Twitter and say, hey, I'm opening a casting call. So before we jump into doing that, let's definitely make sure we've got a reason for the devs to be present as well as the voice actors to be present.
Yeah, so you want to add, Neth?
Yeah, I was just going to say I remembered my point, but I wanted to let that one finish.
Okay, it finished.
Okay, so back when I used to have a YouTube channel and I was kind of involved in the YouTube community here in Australia and a little bit overseas, pre-2010 to age me there, back before, everyone had fancy cameras and some sort of production value and whatever else, before things just went way beyond what
back
early
in the
YouTubers
rate
did.
this video 5 stars days, bro.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
before creators could be paid for their videos. There was no creator like whatever it was called. One of the biggest bits of advice that was given consistently was, as long as your audio sounds good, this is circling back to the audio quality thing and audio engineering being important, was as long as your audio sounds good, people can forgive poor video quality. Obviously, that doesn't really apply here, but it kind of highlights the importance of audio, because if people can clearly hear the different elements that need to be heard, background music is important, but if it's too loud or if it's not balanced properly and you can't quite hear the dialogue, and the dialogue is obviously there, it's meant to be important and be heard, then it can ruin an experience for someone. And for people like me who have auditory processing disorders, like as part of ADHD or autism and stuff like that, it can really make or break our desire to even engage further. Like I think you said when you were reviewing, either Lucas or Nye, you said when you were screening or reviewing things and it was just too loud, you're like, nah, I'm done. Yep. It's the same thing. Like if it's like, music is blaring and then the voice comes in, it's like, and you're like, and there's no option to turn voices off so you can just read, I'm out. Like I can't handle that. So that was my thing. Like, audio is definitely important.
Nah, I 100% agree. I mean, you see that in problems with things now, like the Persona 3 Portable remake thing. It has a lot of issues with audio where it's not things properly balanced. Some of the music overwrites the voice acting at some point. So you see it happens today. So I agree with you entirely on that.
Should we move on to the Q&A bit?
I was gonna let Cody ask if he had anything else he wanted to add. But
well, you see, it all started when my grandfather, Jeremiah, kidding. So you never know where your next job is going to come from. So go exploring, find people you vibe with, get your hands dirty, and have fun. There you go.
All right, well, there we go, everyone. Well, that has been the end of this roundtable discussion, but that's not the end of this entire event. If everyone in the chat, if you have a question, please raise your hand, and we'll try not you, Neth, but we'll try to get through as many people as possible. Actually, if you raise your hand now, like Zoom will register it, and it'll just raise it for you. I did not know that.
What?
Yeah,
it's an option that you can turn on, but yeah, recognize raising hand and thumbs up.
Yo,
I've got it turned off because I sometimes talk with my hands and it starts raising my hand. And I'm like, no, dude, stop. Okay, yeah. Q&A portion.
Yes.
Obviously, Thomas has got the right thing, but yeah, you want to do your little spiel about how it works? Raise your hand.
Yeah, there's a reaction button right there. Raise your hand, and we'll try to go through as many of y'all as possible. And yeah, pretty much it. This is the opportunity for you to ask whatever questions you want to, you need to know. I mean, literally, your career is in your own hand right now. So if there's something where you're like, hey, I need direction of how to get here, please ask. I strongly encourage it. There's no such thing as a dumb question. Nothing is dumb until you find out. So if you don't know what you don't know. That's basically the bottom line. But let's bring in Thomas, my boy. Oh, right. I got to ask you to unmute. My bad, Thomas. I'm so sorry. I forgot. Man.
Let the man speak.
Thanks. Thank you very much for all of you coming out and talking with us. It's really, really cool. And having me be able to ask questions. Thank you. I totally understand what you guys are talking about. I also dived into the game dev world for a bit, for at least a couple months, and I learned as much as I could about how to make games in RenPy, C#, and Unity, and a little bit of Unreal. And I started making little one-off little games by myself and started casting my own friends in them, and I thought that was really cool. But I totally understand that I got to go around in a bunch of different jams before, not just the DevTalk jams. And when I would try to talk to most of the people in those jams about, like, hey, I'm a voice actor, I can help you cast some voices for some of your characters if you have them. The majority of them, there was like 1% that was like, yeah, I might reach out to you or something, but maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just an awful person. They just didn't want to talk to me.
I will have no Thomas slander.
But no, back to what you guys were saying, they don't know. They just didn't know. They didn't understand why they even needed it, because the majority of it was just text. And they could just get all of that out. They can do it all themselves or with like one other person, get the game done as quickly as possible and put whatever they want into it right before the deadline, and then they send it, like that kind of thing. They're totally into that. Like the majority of people that I talked to and I was working with were like that. But it was only 1% of the people that I got to talk to that was like, yeah, we could work something out. And we did something, and they were like, yeah, that was nice, but I don't know why I need it. So a thought came across my mind. Sorry for the long preface, but a thought came across my mind as you guys were talking about this. Have y'all thought about making, for the game jams, or just the VN jams, or whatever jams that y'all do, having specified time frames or time periods of like this, for this week, you get to focus on working on this part of your game. And then when that week is over, the next week follows is like, now you're all going to be working on the sound design of your games. And here's your chance to mingle with all of the sound designers and all the voice actors in the server or whatever. It could be, or whatever. And we're going to hold this like for a few days. And that way you guys can find whoever y'all are looking for maybe what you're working on. It was just something I've never seen anybody do before. Have y'all thought about that?
I can probably take this one. So, and generally, no, we haven't thought about it too much. And there's a pretty decent reason, though. We try not to be too prescriptive in the way that we run our jams. We try not to tell people how to do what they're doing. As long as they get to the point when they're comfortable with how they're getting to the point where they're creating the game or the visual novel that they want, then we're usually pretty okay with it. It's a little tough to say, hey, you need to do it in this exact way, because we're kind of dictating from on high how you should make a visual novel. And there's no one right way to make a visual novel. The only right way to make a visual novel is the way that makes the visual novel for you. So it's a little hard to do that. However, we do love experimentation. So I think it's a good idea. And I think that's something that it is worth trialing out in one of our upcoming jams. I don't know if it'll be soon, but it's something that I'm definitely going to keep down in my suggestion box for sure.
Yeah, there's actually, with O2A2 this past April, the queer edition of it, we were given 2 weeks as opposed to the usual 1 week. And the intent there was make the game in the first week, polish it the second week, because the jam itself was meant to encourage devs to create something to go into the queer games bundle. So there is that's one example of, how that might be structured. But yeah, I think if there were an opportunity to test that out, that'd be great.
I could see that working. Like you have this time to work on the game, and then now, once that's over, then you could polish the game, and during that time, you could
there are plenty of
audio
submissions here now.
Very cool. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate it, Thomas. All right, well, let's keep the party going. Let's bring in Carla. Oh right, I forgot to. My bad. I'm
Again,
sorry.
2 for 2.
Oh dear.
Thank you, Gracious Burger, for allowing me to speak.
Wow. This is
Stop
how they
it.
treat you, Burger? Wow.
Stop it. Stop
No.
it.
I did join a little late, so y'all were talking and I was absorbing it, but I wasn't fully understanding everything. So a jam, what is a jam? Like,
Okay.
is it like you submit auditions for what people are already working on or what people are going to be working on,
Who wants to take
like
this
for
one?
a game?
So a game jam is essentially a time-limited event where developers create a game within a certain time limit. And oftentimes jam games do include voice acting within that time limit. So like that's what we're discussing, like how to connect
Okay.
VAs better with the yeah.
Okay. And so like I don't even know what to question. I'm just a little
No, this
I
is
believe
fine because the this is the thing that I was mentioning in the beginning, that there is so many people who don't know what game jams are. It goes right over their head. They have no idea, like, oh, this is a resource I can use to meet developers. Go ahead, Nod.
I just Arimia, the host of
Oh,
Otome Jam, who we're talking about today, she's actually asking to help answer this question. So
can she raise her hand so I can?
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
can
yeah.
Hello.
oh,
Hi.
there you
hello, voice.
Hello. So yeah, I'm one of the hosts of Otome and Josei Jam, and also one of the moderators for DevTalk. Basically, what a game jam is it's like an event for game jammers, for developers, where you have a deadline. You have a set amount of time to make an entire game, typically from scratch. The deadline can be 2 weeks, it could be a weekend, it could be 2 months. For Otome and Josei Jam, it's 2 months. But basically, the idea is you are going to make a game in that allotted time. It's a very short time frame. And so it's usually more for like experimentation, meeting others, and kind of having fun. There's sometimes crunch with it, those deadlines looming ever closer, but it's typically just to like get experience.
okay.
A lot of artists and writers and such use it to meet other people and just have like get their ideas out there and add something to their portfolios. So it's definitely a great way to add things to your portfolio as a voice actor. So yeah, I'll relink the jams in the chat as well, so you can read up on them.
And actually, Burger, there's going to be a recording of this, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So you can watch back to the beginning if you want.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Mm.
I know Knight had his hand up, but then it went down. I don't know if he had to go, but if you're okay, we can jump right over to Jim. All right, I'm gonna take that silence again. Oh right, I can't unmute. My bad. But this time I'm prepared. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, 3 for 3, man. But in all seriousness, thank you guys. Thank you for the discussion here at the event. For this event, it actually gave a lot of insight. This is my first one I'm going to try and jump into for the game jams. So I know that like earlier in the year we did like y'all did the Spooktober like general casting call that y'all put on the casting call club. Are you guys gonna be doing something like that to like help pull together like voice actors alongside maybe other server events like the meet and greet sort of ordeals?
Yeah, so we definitely intend to continue using Casting Call Club when it's available. It's a little hard for some. I will admit that it's a little hard for some of our devs to go through the casting call. I've made it very generic every year, and that's probably my mistake. So a lot of people have had a hard time like figuring out, how do I find this person? Who is this person? How do I contact them without a Casting Call Club account? And I'm like, hey, you have to sign up on the site. So we will probably continue to use it. Do we need a tutorial written for them to use it too? Yeah, probably.
If I may, maybe also like have them like put the like, I know some casting calls on Casting Call Club say, hey, put your Discord or your email, maybe make that a requirement for like in the comment section, because most people, they've literally like just like DM me on Discord like, hey, I liked your audition on this. And
Okay.
I think my favorite one is waking up and it's like, who is this guy? Why are they friending me on Discord? Best feeling in the world.
No, we could probably do a workshop on creating a casting call.
That'd be fine with me.
Maybe ahead of the event, yeah. I think that would help a lot of devs figure out what they actually need to include and like how they get it out.
Yeah. I made a video like last year, but it's only like 10 minutes, so it could be 20. It could easily be 20.
You post it again.
Let me boot up.
Chill.
DevTalk
is a very chill, positive community. We love it when people advertise their work.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
Yeah, so while YouTube is loading, let me say that for last year's Otome Jam, I did a series of talks on DevTalk about, okay, so you want to put voice acting in your game for Otome Jam. First off, do you want partial or full voice acting? Here's how those work. And then part 2 was your casting call. What should that look like? What information do the voice actors need to actually do their job? And then part 3, directing. How do you direct these random strangers who have no context for the story? Because that's one thing that people start to realize when they introduce other people into their project is like, oh, right, I've known this entire time, but they don't, you know? Like, let's say a character really enjoys sweets, and they see a stack of pancakes, and they go, I'd rather not. And the actor doesn't realize this is an important plot point. They have turned down pancakes. What sort of hell are we living in right now? So here's the playlist for that, parts 1, 2, and 3. But yeah, this would be a basic building block, because I'm sure that as the depth of knowledge has increased in DevTalk, there are ways to expand the casting call section and make it simpler, but also easier to use for a lot of people.
And I mean, you know, my bad to cut you off, Jim, but like a big question that I want, what else can we do on our side as a school entity to help you? I mean, I know we're working together a lot already, but is there anything else that we can do from our point of view that we could be of more of assist to you know, try to close the bridge a little bit faster outside of everything we're doing, obviously?
It's a hard thing to suggest, because a lot of the stuff, if I could name it, I would be doing it. I'm just as incentivized as you guys are to get. I mean, you guys want to get voice actors into visual novels so they can get work. I want to get voice actors into visual novels so we can have better visual novels. That's my whole thing. So I'm definitely as motivated as you guys are on it. If I had a good answer to that, don't worry, you'd be the first to know. But the only thing that really comes to mind is like, so Spooktober's casting event was huge. It was a big deal for us. It was a big deal for the people who participated. And it was a big deal for the jam in general. And while I want to say we could use more of that, it was also hell on earth to manage. So we need to figure out a better way to do it. We need to figure out a way to get more pipes. DevTalk is run pro bono. I don't make any money off of DevTalk, really. I make enough to pay for the stuff that I have to pay for usually, and that's it. And it makes me feel awful because we have experts like Cody and you coming into our channel doing this work, doing this actual work, and I can't pay you guys for it. So, but that's the kind of stuff that we need. We need more experts being present, doing the things they do. And I mean, honestly, I'm just gonna start charging people money to get into DevTalk. That's all I'm gonna start doing. That way I can fund all of this.
Yeah, the big thing, Burger, is infrastructure, because you know, we have a lot of people that want to do voice acting. We have a lot of people that want to make indie games, but to get that happening, as we mentioned earlier, is voice directors, audio engineers, casting directors, you know, people who are able to grease the wheels and improve the depth of knowledge in these areas so that people can start speaking the same language more effectively.
Resources.
If I may, maybe there could also be like a submission for like casting directors and stuff, because like I know a couple of casting directors who have like access to like some rosters. It's like, hey, I can fit like certain, I can like, you know, this character is, you know, young, male, age 20. I know a couple of actors that can do that. Like maybe you can find like a submission form for like maybe like casting directors so they can help find more voice actors, pinpoint them, and send them towards these other developers too. Because I'm also trying to like bridge the gap a little bit too. Because it's like, well, if a guy wakes up to like 500 auditions for something, that's a mountain to climb. So like,
yep,
if we can maybe like get like a casting director who's like, well, I got 50 people and I can pinpoint who they could work with, it'll take a good chunk of work off of their backs, the developers' backs, and the casting director themselves with that talent roster, they also get a credit being like, yeah, I casted for this game.
Yeah.
On top of it too, that's a resume builder on top of it.
That's something that Berger and I have discussed is on the subject of casting. Like, we had the Winter Jam roster, right? But as of right now, that roster is over a year and a half old. So who has a roster, who's maintaining one, who knows when these actors are available? Because that's why the indie devs aren't doing cold calls, because one, they're scared, but two, is this actor still even acting?
And that's why it's kind of important for us to keep running regular events and regular meetups, because the people who show up are the people who get cast. There's no ambiguity to it. If they are there, they're there for it. So it's helpful for the devs to relieve some of that anxiety, knowing that if they're going out to contact somebody, they're actually interested in it and they're not just annoying someone. As a quick sidebar, one of the problems that we do have at the moment, and I get messages about this all the time, is we have voice actors cold calling people in our community to try to voice act for it, and that's fine. We're still positive, but some people can be pretty aggressive about it. So I've had to encourage to moderate themselves in TMs, which is not something I like to do, but it's out there. So cold calling is definitely a stressful thing for both VAs and devs.
All right, that's all. Thank you so much for answering my questions. Thank you again for the event and information.
Of course. Thank you for bringing that forward. All right, so I have to head out, but this has been a fantastic panel. Thank you all so much for coming. I hope it was insightful for everyone watching, and I've had a blast. And I'd like to thank the other 5 panelists for taking the time, especially the 2 that had to get up super early to be here. Really appreciate it. But yeah, thank you all. See you next time.
I appreciate you coming and spending time with us, Cody. And for everyone here, I'll drop these links again at the very end. But here are all the links of everyone that kind of made this happen. There's my Twitter, there's Lucas's Twitter, there's his YouTube, there's Cody's Twitter and YouTube, there's Ingrid. Everybody's there. You don't have to follow any of them. Well, I will follow them, please. But let people know, like, because we're trying to start a discussion. And there might be a bunch of other people out there who's like, I have no idea what a game jam is. Oh, okay. Is this a resource? You're saying that, hey, the people that show up are there for it. Well, there are a bunch of people who just don't know. So it can start with us and we can build this community together. So there you guys go. And thank you again, Cody, for hanging out with us. We got 2 more questions. This will be the last round for questions. So if you have a question, raise your hand. If not, then these last 2 will be it. Thomas back at it again for round 2. What's going on?
Thanks. I'm unmuted this time.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have no more slander on my name.
3 was the lucky number. All right.
Quite greasy, man. Hey. So y'all said that what you're missing is resources.
I don't want to say we're missing resources, but you can never have enough of them. Educational resources in general are definitely helpful, because when people have like, what do I do next? It's great to just have something like, here, just take this, read it, please. It will help you.
This checklist.
Yeah.
You'll be okay.
And the V and Dev wiki that we run, that's part of that. Like we're trying to build that up so that we can just throw resources on it and give it to people in our community and abroad. For that. I'm sorry, your question.
No, I didn't even have a question. It was more so like I was gonna offer. I was like, I know some people. The person right next to me right now. they got a wonderful roster going on. No. I think if you guys need staffing. Or how about that? Do you need staffing? Or how about that? It's not even paid work. I know that, but do you guys need extra hands, like people looking at this stuff?
Volunteers are always something we need. Like, we're always doing things. We've got, I don't even know how many jams we have going on this year, and it changes every year, and it's always more. So we can only give our attention to so many of them in a year.
Mhm.
So like we always need like bodies for it. Our biggest jams definitely still need help. Ari and Akua both run Otome Jam. So usually don't say, hey, in order to be one of our supported jams, you have to do this, this, and that, and have, this component in it. The most I ask them is like, hey, make sure you're not awful people, and make sure, you're supporting the values that we are founded on, which is inclusivity, diversity, etc. But otherwise I don't typically force them to do it. So yes, we can always use help.
If there was a need to post casting calls, or at least create them for each individual, I know it's like really, really fast. Like all of these game jams are so quick, and just having a casting call up on Casting Call Club just for like a day, it exists. There are some that appear for like a couple hours, they're cast and they're gone. That happens.
Yeah.
But is that something that could help then? If you had someone or some people actually like putting up people's games up onto Casting Call for them, and then trying to figure out like gathering or excuse me, not gathering, but kind of doing a narrow down for them, like just narrowing down all of the auditions that they get to a few, and then letting them choose like what they would want for their character. Pretty much like a casting director of what, basically that.
Would it help? I don't know. I think the biggest thing is figuring out whether or not people would bite on it, because it's not something that we've ever offered before. So I don't know how many people would jump on it. I do know that because visual novel jams and game jams in general, they're very speculative. We're not sure if this is going to exist after the end of this 30 days.
Right.
So you have a situation where like, I'm not sure if it's going to exist 2 weeks from now. So I would feel awful about making a casting call or grabbing more people into the project, knowing that it could very well just not exist afterwards. And the casting process itself does take time.
Yeah.
And being time limited events, it can be, it can really slow down other parts of development. So I'd have to gauge to see whether or not anyone would want to do it. It's worth a shot, I'm willing to experiment and try with anything to get this to happen. So
would you be willing to try?
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah,
cool.
We do all kinds of jams all throughout the year. So I don't know which one we can trial it out on, but maybe I can talk around and see if anyone's interested in adopting the idea.
Cool.
So
I wouldn't mind. I'd
appreciate that.
I'll message you. I'll message you after this. That sounds interesting.
Right.
John, you're right. It would be more efficient to have one project page listing the archetypes. But in practice, I don't know if anyone in our community actually used the Spooktober pages the 2-3 years that we did that. As for aforementioned reasons, they didn't know how to. So you might have the statistics better than I would. But
wait, that's our John? Is that?
I think that is. I don't know. It's just a John.
Is that our John?
It's just a John in the chat. I don't know if it's that John.
No, that is our John.
Oh,
okay. Well, then there you go.
Hey,
but
John.
yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for the question, Thomas. And what's up, John? We got 2 more people left. Let's bring in our next question here. Megan Johnson, someone I've never met in my life ever. Completely don't know this person. What can we do to help you?
So it's not really a question because it was already asked. Thanks, Jem.
No problem.
So I've had a lot of success with messaging devs and trying to get into the visual novels and stuff, because I have not been successful at all with auditioning or like doing the audition on, I think, the Casting Call Club page, like with the pro tag and tag thing. That didn't work out. So I've been messaging, game devs, and then I'm working on 2 webtoons where I message the creators of the webtoons. And it's like, hey, I'd love to, be the casting director. I will direct this. I will I'm also editing all of it for them. Just can I use your content? So I've been working on that, which we just posted today after months of work. But I also was going to say I am really down to helping with any sort of casting. I have my own roster. It's really nice having a director where they know the people, they've worked with them, they know that they're reliable, whereas finding random people, and sometimes, you know, they leave out of nowhere. Yeah, so it's really nice having a casting director, audio engineers, people who know the voice part of the games. But yeah, basically Jam and Thomas said everything I was going to say also. But yeah, me definitely, I've seen success messaging the people myself, getting into helping them with casting into their stuff as well. So that's all I was gonna say.
Okay, well, that was a great statement that you made. And that idea about reaching out to webtoon creators, that is a great idea. 5 stars. That is, I love it.
It's always good to reach out.
I love it. I love it. I wish I would have suggested something like that myself. Let's keep it going. Our last question. Let's bring in Mr. Williams. Is it Cleon? Is that how it's said? I might be wrong. Damn. I know I can't even hear you, and I know you said I was wrong. That's the worst part about it. You can unmute though. I give you the ability to unmute.
Okay, you said it perfectly well.
I did. Oh, snap, son.
Right
This is the
point.
moment for me. Oh, I'm about to celebrate. I gotta go.
Let's go.
Yeah, so I am fortunate enough to be standing in a position where I am both a voice actor and a game developer. And something that came across as I listened to everybody speak is that the game jams, I've done some on itch.io before, and there was even an art jam that I participated in recently, where they had community voting that helped the moderators to really narrow down on, you know, the selections based on the themes for to select who were the finalists and stuff like that. So I was thinking maybe something like that could be implemented as well to help, you know, narrow down the process of finding voice actors for the projects and really help to, you know, take some of that weight off.
But I think would that become, because who would be doing the community voting in that case?
Well, I guess there's 2 ways that it could be flipped. You know, one would be also the persons themselves who audition, you know, they would go through, have a time period where they listen to other voice actors and see who really fits with the character and you know, the requirements for that character a lot better. Because as voice actors, you know, you would have that ability and that know-how to say, all right, this person actually sounds like they really get the vision of the developer. And then from there, you know, with this list that is more accumulative, the developers can then now go through and pick from, you know, maybe 10, 15 or 20 persons to say, all right, you know, this is a good selection of person that I can choose from to make them voice my characters.
It would be quite an interesting thing, but no.
I just so, and this doesn't really answer the question, but I'm given a bit of my personal experience with community voting, running several jams we have anyway. So my only concern with a system like that, well, actually probably not my only concern, but my main concern. So in DevTalk, we have creators of all statures and all makes and all types, including people who are very successful in what they do. Very popular creators that can just lay waste to a community voting just by being present. In fact, this is why we don't use community voting in Spooktober, because when someone like Ibihime, which is one of the most popular, you know, Western visual novel developers for Otome's out here, when she participates in our jams, and she's participated at least 2 or 3 of them now, she could just exist in the space and way down voting in that regard. So that would be my only concern, because some voice actors definitely could pull when people are like, oh, I recognize this voice, I like this voice, they might give them 5 stars because they just like
biased.
the voice.
Yeah.
So there's going to be, I think, a personalized touch, like having a voice director, a voice caster, and direct input from the developer themselves rather than going to a democratic style of selection. Might still be better for most of the devs and even for the voice actors, because that way, everyone, who, even the people who aren't quite popular yet or people who haven't quite made it yet, still get some type of opportunity to be like evaluated by someone directly rather than being at the mercy of their peers. And that's kind of scary.
That's true. It makes sense.
I think it's a good idea, but I think there's something that might stop us from doing that.
Yeah, I think it might be too project specific to put out to community voting, because people are usually casting at different points in the store, in like the development of a game. Like for me, I already had the cast and everything quite set, but other developers, especially for game jams, for example, might be starting off with just concepts of characters in mind, and it might be more difficult for a community to make that kind of judgment. But it could potentially be good for like closed voting. For example, if within the team there was a vote, rather than have it be open to the public.
Yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense. Okay, so that's my input that I wanted to share. It's
a very good input. It's a very good
you.
question that you brought up. I couldn't think of a greater way to end this very lively discussion. And John put it in the chat, and I'll just point it out again. Obviously, a lot of devs are intimidated to reach out to VAs, but I myself, John, and a lot of our instructors will be happy to volunteer our time to help, like I said, bridge that gap. And that's literally what we're doing here. So just want to say, we're only like a message away. And that's to any dev that might be listening here. That's not you. They're like, hey, can I reach out as well? Absolutely. We're all about trying to bridge the gap and create a pipeline for actors to be in, like, some cool stuff. That's the end of the goal for an actor, right? An actor wants to be in things that are cool, that they can show off and be like, hey, I know you guys didn't trust me when I said I didn't want to go to law school. And I know I said I wanted to be an actor, but look, I'm in this visual novel. Do you trust me now? And obviously they'll probably be like, no, this doesn't negate the law degree, but at least it's something to keep you motivated, because so many people get, they lose morale in that path to like find something. So that one thing could be the thing that to push them, like, all right, I'm gonna make it to the finish line. And we all know that VO is not a race, it's a marathon. So you got to take water breaks every now and again. So thank you guys so much all for joining. That is the end of this very lively discussion. Thank you to everyone that joined. You guys are awesome. And thank you to everyone that sat and donated their time and talked to us. Especially on the game side of things, because I learned a lot. Like, I appreciate every time we get to talk. Ingrid, I appreciate you dropping by and sharing your experience, especially since you were in the point of, okay, I've never reached out to voice actors before, but here we go. And
here we are now.
Yeah, and I think Su Ling is in Sense of Soul. So and Su Ling is, oh man, she's top, and she just got put in Honkai Star. I forget the new game.
Great.
Yeah, Sue's awesome.
Yeah.
Lucas, appreciate you dropping by. Neth, like I said, where would I be without you on this planet? I'm gonna drop these links in here one more time. If you want to follow any of us, please just let somebody know what happened today. That's all I ask. We have an orientation night tomorrow for our students. It is a public event as well, so if you want to see literally how our school is structured, some of our suggestions on how to proceed and succeed in voiceover, please come through. And with that being said, stay safe. I'll see you next time. Goodbye, everyone. So long.
Bye. Have a good rest of your
Wait. Do y'all want to take a picture? I forget. I always forget to ask. Y'all want to take a picture? Oh yeah, right. I can't unmute. Right. I forget.
John vanishes. It's like, nah, my hair is not good enough for this right now.
Yeah, come on, let's get this picture in.
There you go. There's that courage.
All right.
He'll do better than Cody.
All right, John. John, are you still sick?
No.
I
just decided to pop in because I noticed the event happening.
I appreciate you looking at all the hard work I'm putting out there, John. Yeah, let's take a picture. If you have a camera and you're not camera shy and you're like, you know what, I don't care what my hair look like right now. I'm gonna savor this moment. Turn on your camera. You get 3.
I feel personally attacked there, Burger.
Dude, no one even is talking about you, John. Your hair looks fantastic. What are you talking about?
Yeah, my bed head, right?
So what? At least you have bed hair, man. Some people don't got that, John. Stop being a jerk.
Yeah, John.
I wasn't talking about you, John. Oh, all right. I'm gonna count to 3. If you can't figure out how to get your camera on by then, well, you're out of luck. We'll take 2 pictures on a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's take one big goofy one. 1, 2, 3. All right, see you guys next time.
Goofy all the time.
See you later. Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.